Hey everybody, it's Josh. Come out on a rainy, cold day here and seeking a little shelter, and I think it kind of fits the theme I'm going for today, a theme that seems to make the atheists just so mad. Well, atheists and non-Christians. The problem of suffering. I talk about it a lot because it is vital. It is vital for seeking God, for understanding truth, for understanding anything in life. Where do you get wisdom from? Where do you get understanding from? Do you get it from sitting in luxury or on your yacht and just living it up, living the high life? Just having whatever you want given to you whenever you want it. Do you get it from that? Or do you get it from suffering? Do you get it from failure? Do you get it from pressure? Do you get it from heartbreak and grief? What gives you wisdom? What gives you understanding? What gives you meaning in life? How many people do you know in life who seem to understand the meaning of life have just had some cushy, laid back, wonderful, blessed life? But that suffering is a trial by fire. It is baptism by fire. There is a reason that Christ tells us, I believe it's Luke 15. He gives us 3 parables. And he tells us, the famous one is the prodigal son. The 2 sons ask their dad for their inheritance early before he's dead, because they want to start their lives. He gladly gives it to him. One son does good with his money. He starts his farm. He does good. He works the land. He does what he's supposed to do. The other son goes out and blows his money on women of the evening, things I can't say on YouTube, alcohol, gambling. And then he has nothing left. And he tries to find work, but the only work he can find is by these awful employers who pay him less than slave wages and treat him even worse. So he realizes, my father was amazing to his servants. He gave them living wages. He gave them whatever they needed. And I'm just going to go back with my hat in hand, as humble as I can be, and beg him if I can be one of his servants. Beg him for forgiveness. And so when he goes back, his father sees him way off in the horizon coming, and calls everyone and says, we're going to have the biggest feast I've ever had for my son. He's returned. And of course, the son who worked the farm, who did what he was supposed to do, he was mad. He was like, I've been living a righteous life. I've been doing what I'm supposed to do. You never throw me any kind of feast, yet you throw my degenerate brother this big feast after he goes and blows all his inheritance. And his father said, yes, you've been with me all this time, and I'm so grateful for that. But my son was lost, and now he's found his way back to me. He went astray, and now he's come home. He learned his lessons in life. Something the righteous brother, he's going to probably have to learn one day, the hard way. And it won't be as effective as the bang-up job the other son, the prodigal son, did. We walk through darkness. We walk through the hells, the fires of hell. I've used the analogy of the coal. Coal under pressure, only under so much pressure. It has to be 7 miles at least underground for it to be pressed in, that carbon pressed in to form a diamond. I've also used the analogy of the sword. When you're forging a sword, you have to throw it in the fire, and then you have to take it out and hammer it, and then you have to do it over and over and over again until it is the perfect sword. A strong blade that's not going to just break and be dull. We must be forged like this. I know people who are going through suffering or have been through awful suffering and haven't learned their lesson, especially, don't want to hear this. They see things like, obviously, the worst case scenarios. Children suffering. Just things that don't make any sense. And of course they blame God. They say a loving God would not allow this. A loving God would never allow this to happen. But a loving God is allowing us to learn from our mistakes, to not be a slave to Him. He intervenes only when we want Him to, when we ask Him to, when we beg Him to. Sure, there are times He moves the scale just a little bit. Only He knows the direction we need to be going in. He knows the choices we will make in every decision. So yes, we are in hard places so many times. And of course, if you read the stories of every single story in the Bible, you're going to be confused. Why? Why all this evil? Why all this suffering for a God who is supposed to be loving and bless us? But we are looking at it from our understanding only. What we consider a blessing, we consider living life fat and content. You know, I've got the fat part going. We live that life. We seriously think that the less pain, the more pleasure. That's what life is all about. That's what we chase. That's what I chased. That's what I thought the meaning of my life was. Wow, life is a party and you just got to live it. The party never ends if you're having fun, right? Well, I learned that the hard way. Just like the prodigal son did. Just like so many did in their lives. And so many of my friends who were just the wildest people I knew. And now they look at their lives and it's broken. It's meaningless. They chase that pleasure. And they are now slave to that pleasure. And it doesn't even bring them pleasure anymore. Think of an alcoholic. You start drinking because you're escaping the pain. But now, the pain comes with the alcohol or not, but you can't live without it. You stop drinking and the pain is so excruciating, it's almost intolerable at times. So you just don't even bother going through the detox, you just keep on drinking. You're like, well, my life is meaningless anyway, I might as well just try to enjoy it. Just down these bottles every day and just go until I'm dead. Because hopefully it'll be an early death, because I don't want to live this life anymore. That is the rub, though. Suffering can give us that experience, can give us that wisdom, can lead us to God. Or suffering can break us, and not in a good way. We say, well, no broken's in a good way. No, it is. My brokenness, I thought was a curse, but it led to my salvation. My suffering led to my salvation. What is broken in a bad way then? Broken in a bad way is when you just keep doing the same thing over and over. You don't learn your lessons. You don't understand. You don't even have a desire most of the time to seek some other meaning in your life because you're sure, because of the brokenness, that there is no meaning. Those are the people I absolutely am heartbroken over. Those are the people who they might go on this little quest for God, a little half-assed quest, looking around, where's God? I don't see him anywhere, I'm done. Or maybe they feel like they can sense God in their life, and it feels great, but that fire quickly burns out. I was doing my video yesterday talking about the parable of the sower. And it talks about the word is sown into all types of different places. And the ones growing on rocky ground, those are the words that they burn bright. They burn quickly. They grow quickly. And then all of a sudden, the roots aren't there. They don't go deep enough because of the rocks. And they just wither and die. The camera got fogged up there. And I wanted to read this verse, part of this chapter in Isaiah 9. It's a famous chapter because of for to us a child is born. But I think that the best part of it is just before this. It says, "The people who have walked in darkness have seen a great light. Those who have dwelt in the land of deep darkness, on them a light has shone. You have multiplied the nation. You have increased its joy. They rejoice before you as with joy at the harvest, as they are glad when they divide the spoil." And it goes on later to say, "For to us a child is born, to us a son is given, and the government shall be under his shoulder, and his name shall be called Wonderful Counsel, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace." So those who have walked in darkness have seen a great light. The Bible tells us over and over, we have to go through the suffering because it's the only wake-up call we have. God does not rule man's world. He is the God of everything, sure, but he does not force us to not go chasing our pleasure, to not go chasing our desires and letting our desires lead us all around. He does not force us into a righteous life. Why does he do this? Why does he seemingly abandon us to this fight that we can never win? Because he's not abandoning us. He's standing right there. Christ with outstretched arms. He gave us the child. For to us a child is born to bring light to the darkness. I get it. We don't want to think about the suffering that seemingly has no meaning. Like a child with a rare disease that dies at a young age. A great Christian, his name is David Wood, had this exact thing happen to him. And he told the story of how his child was born with this rare disease. And of course, the doctors said that they should have gotten rid of the child before he was even born. But no, they said, no, this is a gift. And others were saying, you're bringing this child into the world with pure suffering? What are you doing? The average lifespan for someone with this disease is like a couple months at most. And yet all life is precious and all life has meaning. It doesn't matter whether it's a couple minutes or a couple months or a couple years or over 100 years. It all has profound meaning and value. And so they raised this kid and he lived for many years. He was still a child when he passed. But he was the happiest child and he brought so much joy into the world. And to have never given him that chance to bring that joy into the world would have been cruel. It would have been an awful thing to do. And it's something that people in this country and in this world do all the damn time. Say, no, I don't want my child with some genetic disease. I don't want to have to watch him suffer and watch him die young. One of the miracles, other than the massive amounts of love and joy that this boy brought into everyone around him's life, was the fact that the doctors thanked his parents, saying, we knew almost nothing about this disease. If your child wouldn't have ever existed, we would not have had the chance to use all these different treatments and try to figure out a cure for this disease. And they advanced so much just off this one child. And you say, well, that's not a reason for a child to live, so it can be like some kind of medical experiment. No. That child, his life, it wasn't all suffering. Again, he brought massive amounts of joy and love to the world. It wasn't all suffering, but there was suffering. There's suffering in all our lives. Does that mean we shouldn't live it? The ones who live to a ripe old age and they suffer the whole time, and does that mean they shouldn't have lived it? They were able to advance the treatments for this disease, and they've almost come up with a cure. So not only is that child was so valuable and so wonderful, but now he, because of his life, is going to give other children the chance at a longer life. Maybe even cure it altogether. Sometimes we don't understand what God does. Sometimes we think he's cruel, he's evil. How would I ever put my faith in someone like this? And this is just leaning on what we think in our life. How dare you tell someone else that their life wasn't valuable because they suffered in it? How dare you? How dare you tell a child who died young from cancer that their life was a cruel curse because they suffered and they died? And you know what? I've known so many kids with cancer who have brought that tremendous joy, who have brought that tremendous gift into their parents' life, into their whole family's life, and their whole community's life. But no, the people who don't want to think about that, they want to just blame God and they want to just ignore the problem altogether. Saying if there is a God, he's so evil, he's so awful. They don't ever want to think about the consequences to their actions. We have this suffering and this disease because we go astray from God. It's not saying that we are sick or we are suffering because of our sins. No. It's because of the compounded sin of man going astray. It is awful to think about because it is heartbreaking. I don't like to think about things like this, but if you don't sit and think of things like this, then you will never truly reconcile with it. It's not about coping with it. It's about trying to understand why things happen in life. Some people live more in just a few years of their life than others will in their entire lives, entire long lives. Some people bring more joy and more love to this world than people who are 100 years old. We can't understand God's plan because we are not God. To try to think that we are smarter than God, that God could have done it a better way, is ridiculous. If we didn't have this free will to choose or reject God, which all of them did, all of them absolutely hate the idea of God because of suffering. They say he could have made a world full of meaning without suffering. Oh, really? Oh, why don't you go tell him how to do that? Tell him how to do that. He's obviously not as smart as you, so go tell him how to do it. The arrogance of people and the blindness of people. But it makes me think of one of my favorite stories from the Bible, when Jesus healed the blind man. And when they got to the blind man, the disciples said, "Rabbi, Rabbi, is this man blind because of his father's sin or his own sin?" See, thinking just like a lot of those people do. Well, they sin and then they're going to get suffer because of their sin. No, a lot of people who sin all the time don't suffer nearly as much as people who live a righteous life. Jesus told him he's not blind because of his sin or his father's sin. He is blind so the good works of God could be shown through him. The children who live tragically short lives, they live those short lives so the good work of God can be shown through them. And how beautiful is that? We base everything off of how long our lives is, what's the quality of our life, what is this and that. We don't have a clue what the true meaning is. The quality of my life was, and really, honestly, still is, pretty awful. I'm in pain all the time, horrible pain. The mental pain is not nearly as bad now because of finding God finding me, really. But the physical pain is sometimes almost overwhelming. And I can promise you that if it wasn't for this physical pain, if it wasn't for the mental pain, if it wasn't for the spiritual pain, I would never have found God and I would never have found meaning. I would be living this dull existence, thinking I was having so much fun if I got to travel to the Caribbean every now and then, or go to Vegas and blow all the money I shouldn't have blown. I thank God every day for this pain. Of course, I don't like it. But guess what? Sometimes in life, we suffer for the things that mean something to us. We suffer for the things that give us hope, that give us love. If you're not willing to suffer for anything in life, then you are meaningless. You are living a life that is worthless. You have no meaning. You're running scared. Don't worry, I was the same way. I'm not saying it's too late for you. I'm not saying your life doesn't have value. And I did say worthless, but I mean right now, unless you come to understand that the things in life that are worth living for are the things worth suffering for, then you will be blind the rest of your life. You will be going on on leaving angry comments on videos like mine. I'm sure I'm going to get plenty more. I don't know. It's hard to tell what the atheists actually respond to. I don't really care what the atheists have to say. I'm not here for the atheists who are so close-minded that they have found a faith and a religion in their atheism. They live to deconvert Christians. They live to mock Christians. They think we are stupid. They think we are anti-intellectual. I don't care what they think, because I have been given the greatest meaning in my life. And I laugh at the people saying, oh, your Christian God is so evil and your Christian God is so dumb. And okay, whatever you say, brah. Go ahead. Sometimes I'll respond, sometimes I'll just smile and move on. I'm not saying I don't care about these people. I don't care about their stupid opinions. They're opinions that were kind of close to my own opinions. When I was perishing, I was a complete moron and completely lost. And yes, those who are feeling that way because of suffering, that's a lot different. Those who are suffering in life so much and it breaks them and they just push away any idea of God, I want so badly for them to feel the love that can save them from all that suffering. Save them from everything bad in their life. They're going to still have pain. We're all still going to have pain. Pain is necessary. It's not the curse you think it is. And you don't have to suffer anymore. Because like I say all the time, despite all this pain that is sometimes has me where I can't even get up off of my chair, I try to move as much as I can, especially when I don't want to. This pain I've not had any suffering because of it. Since I've been saved, not once have I suffered. And I've been through grief. 3 family members have died. I've been through trauma. I've been through tragedy and the constant pain. And not once have I suffered, because He shows me the meaning in life. He shows me this pain is necessary for me to relate to others. If He healed me of this pain, if I was completely fine all of a sudden tomorrow when I wake up, then I would not be able to relate to those who need me as much as I can now. Of course, it would be great if I didn't have this pain, right? Looking at it from a logical perspective. But logic is laughable when it comes to God's wisdom. And all of the miracles that happened to me, not just on the day I was saved, but so many days since. So many signs God has shown me, which I understand atheists and non-believers are going to reject no matter what. And I don't care. I don't care. Because I know that, of course, you can twist your logic to think, all right, this guy was at rock bottom. He prayed genuinely for the first time. And then God sent a deer out of the woods to walk alongside of him for over an hour. And since that moment, since that time the deer came walking alongside of him, he has not suffered once. He has wisdom he never learned. He's able to do things like read and understand the Bible, which he wasn't able to do before. He doesn't have any more social anxiety. He can actually speak semi-well. I know I'm still not a great speaker. He can go out and show love to all these people. And so much more. So much more. That stuff doesn't just happen. It doesn't. It's not just some point. Oh, a cool thing happened to me. A deer came walking alongside of me, and now I'm smarter than I used to be. Now my life is happy when it used to be complete misery, and I wanted it to end. It doesn't work like that. That's not just something naturally that just happens. I get it. You can say, well, obviously that happened and it gave you hope and inspiration. So no. It was God. Because I could feel God there with me. I could feel a divine presence, an overwhelming peace that every single other person whose testimony, who has been born again, says they felt that divine peace and this understanding and this pure love in such horrible times in their lives. People who have had near-death experiences, who literally have died and come back to life. And so many of them, they find meaning, they find love, they find purpose in their life because now everything makes sense. I get it. Something big like that happening is going to change everything. But I did not die physically. I died spiritually and I was born again. And it means everything to me. All right, everybody. I'm going to get off of here. Still got to go to the store. That's always fun. But at least it's not going to be cold and rainy in the store. Looks like the rain's kind of quit now, so that's good. Now it's just cold, getting colder. But I'm not going to complain because you know what? I know many of you who are up in the north and Michigan, my beautiful sister in Michigan, and so many others in cold areas. And look at me. I got my winter coat on all year long. Well, you can't even, yeah. After Christmas, I've got a little extra too. Man. Went and ate pecan pie. I try to not eat desserts except for at Christmas time and Thanksgiving. And my wife got a pecan pie. I've been talking about, I don't know why. I love pecan pie. I haven't gotten one for years. And this year we just decided to get one. And then we both ate one after a big meal. And we're both like, ugh. And then we look at the box and it's 510 calories for this tiny little slice. I'm like, and I ate a bigger slice than that. Ugh. That's exactly what I need, right? Listen, I love you all so much. I really do. And if you all are struggling, or if you just want to talk, reach out to me in the comments. If it's something private, reach out in the comments. And apparently, if you send an email, or if I send you an email, it's completely lost. I had to thank you, my beautiful sister Angela, for telling me about another email that was sent to me, or an email address that was sent to me. Write me a separate comment saying you sent the email, because you might have to write it out as John Doe and then just put, and it's at, just write it in a sentence, not as the actual email address, if that makes any sense. So I will hopefully be able to just send you my email, but you can find mine on my homepage apparently, but apparently it's pretty hard to find. I don't understand that. So reach out to me. I know it's a hassle for just getting the email addresses, but it's important. Reach out to me. I'm here for you. I will do everything I can for you. I don't have all the answers. I'm still figuring out the way God talks to me myself. But please, please do not suffer and do not feel that your life is meaningless. I promise you this suffering can lead to your salvation. Or it can lead to just a shattered life that you just decide not to let God reconstruct for you. I don't want that for you. I want you to find the love and the meaning and the purpose and the hope that I have. God bless you all, and Happy New Year. Merry Christmas.